Welcome to Gluten-Free Kitchen Cafe. No gluten, no rice, no wheat, no corn, no grain. Let's cook. All right, today at Gluten-Free Kitchen Cafe, we are making a no-egg pie crust apple pie. Here are the ingredients and the tools that you'll need. I'll be using Grandma Harriet's food processor. I think this was probably made in the 80s, and it is a beast. It can handle just about anything. Using your food processor, use the pulse button. I'm just using a few chunks of butter at a time and then pulsing. What we're going for is pea-sized pieces of dough. And here's a hack to keep your butter very cold. Just keep it in a bowl with some water and ice. The nominal amount of water that's added to the dough isn't going to matter or affect it. You're going to have to take the lid off every once in a while because it's going to stop mixing because it's going to get stuck to the sides of the mixer, which is telling you that the recipe is coming together and you're going to have a nice buttery flaky crust. Hey, while we're here, why don't you take a minute and subscribe to the channel? It really helps my channel. Thanks. So you're going to want to add the water a little bit at a time. Don't be tempted to dump too much water in there. Once your mixer stops mixing or becomes very slow, don't be tempted to add more water. This means that your dough is about done. This recipe is not going to come together into a ball. So once the mixer really is going to stop mixing, turn your mixer off and add your dough to a bowl. With clean hands, make sure that you just are able to roll this dough into a big ball with your hands. It should be pretty firm and kind of greasy from the butter. That's okay, as long as the butter's not too melty. Now you're going to separate it into two pieces and roll it into two discs. Put each disc in a piece of saran wrap, sealed nice and tight, and next you're going to put them in the fridge for about an hour to chill. Once your dough is chilled, using a piece of parchment paper folded in half and floured, take your dough from the saran wrap. It's going to be pretty firm and possibly crumbly, but as it warms up, the butter is going to make the dough a little bit more pliable. But because there's no gluten and no egg in this recipe, this is going to be a little bit of a tougher roll, but don't worry, because once it is warm enough and pliable enough, you'll be able to have a nice bottom pie crust. Now it's time to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Once your dough is rolled out, what we're going to do is take our pie pan, place it upside down over the dough, and we're going to slip our hand under the parchment paper, and we're going to press the dough from the underside onto the pie plate. This dough is pretty delicate, so I found this is the easiest way to get a good piece of pie dough to the bottom of the pan without breaking into a million pieces. There are some cracks and you are going to have to reshape this dough a little bit in the pan, but once the warmth of your hands presses the dough into place, it's going to be lovely. Go ahead and take a butter knife, and at the very edge of the pie tin, go ahead and just scrape off the excess. Grab a fork, and what you're going to do is you're going to score the inside of the pie crust with some little holes. That way we get a nice even bake. We're going to blind bake this, but we're not going to use any beans or any weights. That's what these holes are for. Now it's time to bake the pie crust. While the pie crust is baking, rather than have a plain pie shell, what I did was I got some gingerbread man cookie cutters and I just cut out little gingerbread men, because at the making of this video, it's December. Now it's time to make the delicious pie filling. This is one of my favorite apple pie fillings I've ever had. I'm using Fuji apples because I like the flavor. They're a little bit more tart, a little less sweet. And I'm also using dark brown sugar because I feel like it gives a better caramel taste. And I also grate my own nutmeg. You don't have to, but it's very nice. Make sure you peel your apples, gather your ingredients, turn the heat on the skillet pretty medium high is okay. So what we're going to do first is we're going to melt some butter. Now that the butter is melted, we're going to add the brown sugar first. Just keep stirring around the pan until all the butter is incorporated and the brown sugar looks really dark. Next, add your peeled apples. And just keep stirring and kind of flipping the apples around to make sure they get coated with the sugar. Next, we're adding our spices. So just kind of shake it all around and give everything a nice good mix. Next, we're going to add the vanilla. If you don't have real vanilla, imitation vanilla is just fine. By now, the sugar should start to caramelize and you'll be able to see it. It'll make a nice thick syrup. Lastly, we're going to be adding our tapioca starch. We're going to add it in 2 phases. Go ahead and sprinkle it around the apples and give it a good stir. And once it's thoroughly incorporated, go ahead and add the rest of it. What this is going to do is going to make the apple and the sugar sauce really thick and sticky, caramelly. It's just going to be very, very nice because you don't really want like an apple soupy pie. Put the lid on and let that cook till everything is sort of broken down, very thick, very syrupy, probably 15 minutes. Next, we're going to take this pie filling and we're going to ladle it into the pie crust. I like to ladle rather than just dump it on, just because this is very hot and you don't want to have any accidents and burn yourself. Next, I took my gingerbread men cutouts and I just placed them all on top of the pie. You can do whatever shape you want, but I was inspired to do these gingerbread men because it's, at the time of this filming, it's around December 10th. Also, this pie crust is rather delicate, so using a spatula really is helpful. So the recipes that I make, they're all gluten-free. There's no corn, there's no corn syrup, there's no wheat, there's no grain, there's no rice except for one recipe which will come up later. Because my husband and I are both allergic to all of that. And I love cooking and I love food. So I wanted to find a way to make as many recipes that I missed, like enchiladas, like croissant, like pies, like hand pies, like bread, like tortillas. So it took me a while to figure it out. Cassava flour has definitely been the hero, and that's the flour that I'll be exclusively using on my channel. I really hope you enjoy my recipes. I'm not a professional chef, but I think that you're going to like my recipes a lot. Isn't that cute? I thought that was cute. Okay, so next we're going to take a large egg and a couple tablespoons of milk, and we're going to whisk that up, and then we're going to brush it on top of the pie for a nice golden crust. Just go a little bit at a time. Oh, make sure you put your pie on a cookie sheet when you bake. That way, if there's any spills, you won't have much to clean up. Next, I'm just taking some sugar, a few tablespoons, and I'm just going to sprinkle it over the top of the pie crust. You can also use brown sugar. Now you're going to bake this pie in the oven at 400 degrees for 20 minutes, then reduce the heat to 350 degrees for 45 minutes, or until the crust is flaky brown. Make sure you're using the center rack in your oven, not the highest and not the lowest. And there you go. There's an apple pie with no rice, no wheat flour. It's completely gluten-free, no corn syrup, no corn, and no grain. This is a cassava pie crust. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for watching. Remember to click like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. I post 2 to 3 videos a week. See you soon! If you'd like to further support my channel, please consider joining my Patreon. Thanks!